Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let the race war begin. Remember that podcast?
Every time.
Remember Race Wars, the podcast?
Race Wars.
You were probably like six years old, I think. On that
was Kurt Metzger and what was the other guy?
What is his name? I feel bad for not knowing his name.
Yeah,
they had a podcast. This is a while ago. This was like in the 2010s, I think, called Race Wars. It was like one of the first kind of like, I don't know what you would call it, very provocative, not quite alt-right, but dissident.
Those are both liberals, dude.
No, I know now, but then I'm saying then in the context of the 2010s, it was pretty crazy and radical.
Mm-hmm.
What was that guy's name? It was like S and S. His name, like Shay or Shante, something like that.
I want to say Roy Wood Jr., but I know I'm wrong. I know that's not it. But
we have dissed him so severely. First, we don't remember his name, and next, I give him a girl's name.
Yeah, and
I'm sorry, brother.
Yeah,
wherever you are, he's a stand-up comedian. Anyway, who cares? Race wars. We're on the cusp of a race war in the United States, and I'm looking forward to it. How about
you? We've been in one for ever since the civil rights movement, ever since
we're not
immigration in 1965. But
we don't have blacks and whites fighting in the streets, shooting each other in the streets yet.
No,
like
but
as organized groups, that's what we need to get back to. That kind of thing. World War II was the last time we saw that kind of. We saw organized race riots in Detroit. There was a couple good ones, and then the wars always bring them on. World War I, there was lots of organized race riots in multiple cities. So yeah, I think that'd be good to get back to America's roots, make America great again. Isn't that when America was great? When before the 1960s? The whole idea? Yeah, right. So I thought that's what we're after here.
Repeal the 20th century.
Yeah, the Red Summer of 1919, which was named after both the great numbers of communists in the United States, but also the amount of blood that was shed during the race riots in many, many cities. The one in Detroit in 1943, I believe it was. Some people got killed. There was, armed gangs roaming up and down Woodward Boulevard in Detroit. Good stuff, man. No, I mean, let's go. Well, I think if that's what it takes to make America great again, Trump's there for it.
Really steel manning your opposition here. Really steel manning your opposition.
Well, when the fuck was America great? What are we returning to? I'd love an answer to that.
Again, I think. I mean, you see it. You see it with moderate Democrats wanting to return to Clinton. I mean, you see it. It's the spirit of vitality.
But in the 1990s, we had air conditioning.
Yeah,
and we didn't have race riots. And we didn't have,
no race riots in the 1990s. No race riots in the 1990s.
And we didn't have like World War II, and we didn't have World War I, and we didn't have the Civil War, and we didn't have. No, when was America great? I don't remember.
It's been pretty great. It's about symbols of American vitality that typically come up through the Republican Party, like Nixon and Reagan and Teddy Roosevelt, I think, is up there too. It's about a symbol of America winning, being on top, dominance.
I gotta say, with every day that goes by, I think MAGA and Trump is stupider and stupider. Like the whole thing, the very premise upon which the entire thing was based has never even been called into question. So they have what would Steve Bannon say to that? When was America great?
Welcome to 2015, Thad. Welcome to 2015. This has been hashed out already.
What do you mean?
No, I mean, you sound like Michelle Obama at the DNC in 2016.
I announced on the show, what was it, 4 months ago, that I am now back on the left.
Mhm. Yeah.
Of course, the Obamas are the leaders of the left. So
Mhm.
what are you talking about? No, I've never heard anybody in MAGA say when America was great. I've never heard Trump say it. I've never heard Bannon. Anybody? Have you?
Uh,
What do they mean? Isn't that important? The entire movement's based on that idea.
I think I think it's obviously a response to Barack Hussein Obama and the apology tour that he went on in 09.
So 2008 was when America was great.
Yeah, but it's also a rebellion against the Republican establishment with the Bushes and his policies that sort of
right. So 2008 was
out.
the Bush. That was the Bush era.
I think America was strong, very, very strong in the 20th century, and
sure.
following following a weak Republican establishment after the fall of the Soviet Union and a Democratic Party spearheaded by Barack Hussein Obama to destroy the country, America has gotten a lot weaker. And we're just trying to get back to the good old vibes of 1980s Morning in America, Ronald Reagan campaign ads.
That's actually what I have long suspected is the secret that they're not divulging. That's what they mean. They mean
I don't think
80s.
that's a secret.
The 1980s was when America was great. No, I think there's a heavy Reagan nostalgia inside MAGA. Of course.
Yeah.
Heavy.
When we did our event in Texas and our one MAGA voice that we've ever had, Jack Mason of the Perfume Nationalist, start drinking if you're playing the show for the drinking game. He's been brought up. But when we had our event in 2021 in Lockhart, Texas, Jack was all talking about the 80s, big hair, big other parts of female bodies, and the vitality, perfume permeating the air.
Toes? They've got big toes in Texas.
Big, loud perfumes. A spirit of victory. He didn't bring up pro wrestling, but I think Hulk Hogan is a key figure in making America great again. Him and his speech at 2024, the RNC, pretty much is what MAGA is all about, is being a real American and winning, feeling good about yourself, the good guy. Yeah.
I mean, the explosion of American flags at any Trump or MAGA event, the centering of the American flag, isn't there a picture of Trump literally hugging an American flag?
Yeah. Back in 2017 or whenever. Yeah. Kissing it. He was kissing it too.
Yeah. And so that's what was said about Reagan at the time. In fact, I remember one of my professors, I was in college then, saying that's what Ronald Reagan did. He brought the flag back, meaning he resurrected patriotism, which, he wasn't the only person to say that, but he said it most clearly to me. And I don't think that's all of what Reagan was about, but certainly it was a big part of it because, of course, Reagan comes along in 1980 as presidential candidate, which is 5 to 7, depending on how you count it, 7 years after the Vietnam War, right? It wasn't just Jimmy Carter that Ronald Reagan was reacting to and the Reagan Revolution was a reaction to. It was what Bush Sr. called the post-Vietnam syndrome of America being afraid, timid to be aggressively interventionist again, although it was still plenty interventionist even under Carter in many ways. But so I mean, I wish that I had hoped that Trump would actually resurrect Reagan's foreign policy, because Reagan, this is something that no one talks about on the anti-war side at all. No one seems to be even aware of it. Ronald Reagan was probably the most anti-war, anti-imperialist president in U.S. history until Trump. Not to say that he was anti-war or anti-empire, but he was the most cautious, the most reluctant to do interventions, certainly to do regime change, elective wars, all that. He was simply interested in keeping the Soviets away from us and in maintaining America's strength, just so that it could be impenetrable and never have to worry. Peace through strength. I mean, it's not a completely ridiculous concept. And that's actually what Reagan really did. I mean, by the end of his presidency, the military had reached a whole new level of dominance. And of course, then the Soviet Union falls right after that. So then, of course, we are left as the preeminent global superpower. But anyway, so I had hoped that Trump would actually take something from Reagan's foreign policy doctrines, which no one knows about. So Caspar Weinberger, and it's called the Weinberger Doctrine, his Secretary of Defense, came up with it. And it's really in many ways a repudiation of neoconservatism, or even of classic American imperialism. It says that the U.S. should only intervene militarily in other countries, foreign countries, if there is a clear threat to American national security, not for ideological reasons, not if there's some dictator oppressing people and keeping them from having their democratic rights. No, just only if the U.S. was its national security was actually threatened. Weinberger then says, you then attack with overwhelming force so that there are minimal to no casualties on the U.S. side, and then you leave. You don't colonize, you don't occupy, you don't stay. You go in, you kill the bad guys, and you leave. John McCain at times has sort of been a product of the Reagan doctrine, the Weinberger doctrine, although he's also sided with the neocons too. But McCain has had moments where he sounded like that. But that was the formal doctrine, the formal policy, really the guiding grand strategy policy of the Reagan administration all the way through. It also became known as the Powell Doctrine after Colin Powell, who kind of modified it, but basically made it the same concept. It was anti. I mean, it's a different kind of imperialism. It's a truly non-colonial imperialism, but it's, I think far better than what we've had under every other president since Washington. And I had hoped that Trump, because Trump in many cases sounds like Reagan, and on foreign policy, that's usually what he sounds like. He actually sounds like a Weinberger doctrine kind of guy, but then he does stuff, that looks not like that. So who knows? But anyway, so I think.
Are you talking about Venezuela? Yeah. Are you talking about?
I mean, everything. I can't even keep track anymore. I mean, it's just insane what's happening. Yeah, Well, Venezuela, we don't know. I mean, if he does actual regime change there, then that's clearly, not Weinberger doctrine, not Reagan. It's unclear if he will. I sort of doubt he will really try that, because I think it's pretty much impossible for it to be a success. And I have to imagine the Pentagon knows that and the CIA knows that. I think he's doing typical Trump bluster, brinksmanship, threats up front, which he's done this like 20 times, right? We've seen him do it all over the world with all sorts of conflicts. Just make this big threatening opening statement and expecting and hoping that the object of that will back down. And in many cases it has happened. They have backed down. So I think that's probably what he's up to in Venezuela, trying to get concessions after threatening all this massive military force and moving the Gerald Ford aircraft carrier to the coast of Venezuela. And the only thing an aircraft carrier could do to Venezuela is bomb the living shit out of Venezuela from the coast with complete impunity. I mean, untouched. They could just launch missile after missile after missile. They could fly sorties from the deck too, probably unchallenged. I don't know what the Venezuelan Air Force is like these days, but I have to imagine it wouldn't put up much opposition. I don't know about their surface to air missile capabilities, but again, I doubt. Actually, no, I take that back. I think that's right. Russia did supply them with good air defense systems. But whatever, one aircraft carrier could destroy all of Caracas, in a day. So, I don't know. It's anyway. So, where were we? He's racist. What else was I saying about Donald Trump? No.
He's orange. He's bad. He has small hands. I think you're saying something about the size of his hands.
Yeah, they stopped talking about that.
Yeah,
his hands.
Now they just call him a pedophile. It's
yeah, right. Which makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So, what should we do? We have an election.
Well, I didn't.
The pogroms have started, right, in New York?
No.
Didn't you hear?
I didn't have an election. I'm a Hoosier, and you did though. Prop 50.
I meant we as Americans. We're all Americans, aren't we? When someone in New York votes, you vote.
I mean, it's sad that America's greatest city has gone where it's gone, but I'm
stoked, man. I think this is awesome. I mean, we've talked about Mamdani before, but I think it's great. But everybody, if you want to have a good time, go listen to the Commentary podcast, or really any of the big pro-Israel podcasts. But John Podhoretz, who's the son of Norman Podhoretz, the granddaddy of neoconservatism, and and he lives in New York City, and he was born and raised in New York City. He's always been there. I mean, he knows exactly what goes on the streets in New York City. I mean, it's coming. The Holocaust is coming, like, to them. That's how they're talking. Nazis are on the rise. Nick Fuentes has been normalized. These are Nazis. Mamdani is a Nazi. The left is full of Nazis. The right is full of Nazis. New York City is now run by a Nazi. My people, the Jewish people, are facing an existential crisis, the likes of which they haven't seen since 1945. It's fun. I'm loving it. The exit polls show that 1/3 of New York Jews voted for Zohran Mamdani. And to me, that number, that statistic alone, absolutely spells the death of Zionism. It's done. You're toast. If I lived in Israel and I knew that, saw that number, that 1/3 of New York Jews voted for Zohran Mamdani, an outright explicit anti-Zionist, I would start making plans. I mean, I've said this, there have been many reasons to start making plans to exit. And I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow, but that just means you're done long term. If you lose New York Jews, you have nothing. I mean, that's the whole base of world Jewry for the last 100 years. It's awesome. Fantastic. And then, so the second great thing is that we get to see a communist do some experiments in a city, with, limited, what happened?
We can hear you. Can't see you.
Damn, man. Apex.
Can you see me?
Fingers everywhere. Yeah. Everything's good. I think there's just a weird thing with my, wait, I got to pay them some shekels. Then they're saying they'll let my camera back on if I just donate to the IDF Servicemen's Fund. Hang on. I'm coming back. Don't you worry. I think. Am I coming back? Oh, I might have to leave and come back.
Okay.
I'll be right back. I just got to, it won't let me change my camera without leaving.
Cool. The chat is excited for me to get a word in.
Why? Who cares about it? All right, I'll be back then next week. It's the Michael Weimer Show. Have a good time, everybody. Got a big audience right now. Make it good.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
So when it comes to the United States of America, I'll probably have to reiterate this when Thad gets back, when he goes. But if you've seen the exit polls, I'm going to frame this. Oh, he's back already. Here we go.
God, look at that shitty camera. God, that's the difference between a MacBook camera and a webcam. Wow.
It automatically now it looks like you're streaming from a third world country, like you're
Yeah,
or like you're in a bunker or you're
right,
yeah.
right. Reporting from Khartoum in Sudan. We got to talk about Sudan.
Yeah. Real quick, since you brought up Zohran, let's stick on that for a second.
Yeah.
Just my argument on it, and it's pretty obvious. The only demographic that Cuomo won handedly was native-born New Yorkers. If you were born in New York City, or if you were born in the United States, Cuomo wins. If counting foreign-born voters, Zohran won this handedly. Also, transplants, especially young transplants, went solidly for Zohran. But the people of New York City, as in the people who were born and live there and have the longest stake in New York City being a good place to live and raise future generations, handedly rejected Zohran. Stephen Miller is posting just facts about the demographic makeup of New York City, and that it's like over 50% of households have an immigrant in the house, that it has a foreign-born person. So this is a big victory for people who see electoral politics as demographics. The demographics is destiny crowd. I don't think we should blame this on Sliwa. I think the Republican Party needs to have a presence. You can't just drop out when you're the only option being afforded the table. Cuomo's an awful candidate. Cuomo lost his own primary. Cuomo left in disgrace. Cuomo should be in jail for what he did to senior citizens during COVID. So the Democratic Party leadership and Democratic royalty is on the way out. The establishment is on the way out. The radicals are on the way in. And I think if people are concerned about 2026, your number one priority should be mass deportations and should be cleaning up election integrity, making sure that no illegal immigrant can vote. You saw the polling stations in New York City with dozens of languages on them. Ballots should only be in English in the United States. That's the language this country speaks. And if you look
No,
at
it's not. No, it's not. But go ahead.
I mean, that's the language of record for this country. That's the language that the roadsides are in. For example, if you're driving on the streets, you better be able to speak English if you want to be safe for you and everybody around you.
Road signs are cheap.
You
can replace them with Hebrew without much trouble.
Okay. For people who want the country to remain,
talking about Israel, right? Invading Zionists, taking over. That's what you meant by immigrants?
I'm talking about the United States. I'm not talking about some other country an ocean away.
Is the United States, Michael?
Yeah,
is it? What is it? Can you see it? What does it feel like? How heavy is it?
It's
What does it smell like?
It smells like fresh green grass, falling leaves.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the only country that has grass and leaves.
Mm-hmm.
So Stephen Miller saying these things about the dirty, unassimilable immigrants of New York City.
Those are your words. Those are your words, by the way. But he's just posting. He's just posting demographic. He's just posting obvious.
Is the funniest
statistics.
thing one could imagine, and he's not the only Ashkenazi Jew in America I've seen saying this about Mamdani recently.
Hey,
the city's full of these. What?
Well, I think John Rocker was the first person to publicly make this known 25 years ago, and he's been vindicated for it.
I'm talking about, yeah, I know, but I'm talking about in recent days about Mamdani. That's what's been the refrain of all the Goldbergs and Rubensteins and Levines and Levins and Millers who are Zionists. New York City's full of immigrants who are un-American, have un-American radical ideas. And is that not precisely and completely the argument? They are un-American.
Yeah, they aren't
And
Americans. Yeah.
They're un-American, they're anti-American, they're radical, and they're not assimilated into American culture.
Mhm.
That's what these people are saying. Um, so please, anybody who doesn't know this, go, if you're ever in New York City, go to the Lower East Side Tenement Museum, which shows you what life was like in the Lower East Side of New York when all the dirty, unassimilable, radical, communist, anti-American, Jewish
Your words, not mine.
grandfathers and grandmothers of Stephen Miller and Mark Levin and all these motherfucks were here, along with my grandfather and his family. Yeah, they were nasty. They spoke Yiddish. They were overwhelmingly communist, overwhelmingly anti-American in their politics, called for a revolution in America. They wore weird clothes that they took from the shtetl with them. They pushed push carts in the streets selling stuff. They had this bizarre religion that didn't match anything that Christians were doing. What the fuck are you talking about, Stephen Miller? Maybe Michael Weimer too, but certainly Stephen Miller. I just find it so goddamn funny. Basically every American Jew is a descendant of the nastiest, most unassimilable at the time, at least, radical, anti-American immigrants there have ever been. Every damn radical ideology we've ever heard of was imported into the United States by Jews.
Your words, not mine.
It's not. It's not even challenged. It's not even controversial. So to hear these Zionists go on and on about all these new immigrants,
I haven't heard Stephen Miller talk about. I haven't heard Stephen Miller ever talk about another country other than America and the interests of America. I'm totally. I see Stephen Miller as an American, and I'm on board with him potentially being the first president of this background that you're talking about of the United States.
But you're half Italian, so you know what I'm talking about. Same thing.
Well, okay, so this is another thing. And this is getting mainstreamed. If you saw the JD Vance Turning Point event that happened while we were streaming last week, he brought up the moratorium between 1924 and 65, and another one that happened in the 19th century as a 50-year thereabouts restriction on immigration to allow these communities to assimilate and become Americans and take on the values of the culture more broadly. And
So what?
That, you know.
That's what restriction serves, that useful social function as well.
Yes.
It causes the existing immigrants to assimilate.
Yeah. People who
Why?
It's a 50-year period. It's about the numbers and about who comes into the country, and you know, if you it's mainly about the quantity, and if there's a continuing unflowed tap of immigrants, especially illegally coming into this country, you don't get time to assimilate. You don't get them to,
Okay, so I've actually written histories, as you know, of the assimilation of Jews and Italians and Irish into American culture. And it didn't come about because of immigration restriction. For the Irish, it happened in the 19th century before there was any immigration law whatsoever. They came in as monkeys and white N-words and were discriminated against and not given jobs and treated just like blacks, pretty much. They went from that in 1830 to, by the end of the 19th century, fully assimilated white people who had occupied virtually every position in American society and were considered officially in the censuses and in scientific journals as Caucasian and fully white and even Aryan white. They did that through a campaign of their own in which they took jobs as police officers and firefighters. They all entered the army, volunteered en masse in the Mexican-American War, then the Civil War, proving their patriotism. They entered Democratic Party politics, thereby entering the machinery of politics in America. They did a full campaign and explicitly, deliberately removed themselves from black neighborhoods and from associating with blacks anymore. They've been very associated with blacks prior to that, having invented tap dancing together and other things. And a lot of sort of early black music was actually part Irish. So they did it. That was way before their immigration laws. And then the Italians and the Jews, I mean, they started their assimilation. Again, they were also treated as basically blacks or monkeys, or certainly not white when they got here, sort of toward the end of the 19th century. Their assimilation project started in the church, Catholic Church for the Italians, and among certain synagogues among the Jews. And it was, again, this very concerted campaign to present Jews as all-American, Caucasian, and not black. So it was a very deliberate attempt to distance themselves from blacks and all things that were considered to be black. Yeah, I mean, so 1924 is the National Origins Act. That's what Vance is talking about, the Great Immigration Restriction Law. Although there's actually another one in 21, so it's 2 phases. The restriction starts in 21. It gets completely formalized in 1924. Yeah, I mean, the assimilation of Jews and Italians that is when it increased. It was in the 20s, 30s, and 30s, but especially when World War II. And this is widely acknowledged, that the assimilation of white ethnic minorities, or ethnic minorities into whiteness, really happens with World War II. So the census in 1930 didn't allow you, there was a separate box for Jews and Italians, separate boxes for Jews and Italians. In 1950, that was gone. And so they were expected to tick Caucasian after that. I mean, by the US government, so, and in the formal culture. So the conversion was complete. Anyway, I don't know. I mean, we keep, the question is whether immigration in general is something that one should or would support. And especially sort of as an American in the country that has been most shaped and defined, really, I would say, constituted by immigration, right? I mean, quite literally. I mean, that everybody here, other than the natives, we all know this, is descended from immigrants. So, and the slaves, I suppose. Those are involuntary immigrants, but, even they are from elsewhere. And it's just simply not anything. There's nothing in the country that we live in now, or have lived in for at least 100 years, that isn't from immigrants. I mean, it's all immigrant culture, everything, because we're all immigrants. So I don't get it. And in fact, I would say the very, very best parts of American culture, from my perspective, like in the popular culture, all the stuff that is free and liberatory and so pleasurable and therefore so popular around the world and among the masses for generations and generations, all the stuff that makes America the most fun place in the world and the most enviable in many ways, it's all immigrants in some way or another. So and that continues today as much as ever. I mean, I'm telling you, the quality of food in America would fall off a cliff if Trump actually deported all the illegal immigrants. And in fact, I think a lot of Americans would actually go hungry because they literally don't know how to feed themselves without immigrants, especially in the cities. But even now, I think now, even in probably Bloomington, right? I bet is food, like restaurants, is it staffed mostly like by immigrants? Like restaurant, like the kitchen staff?
I mean, there's a large international food scene here, yes. But it's a college town. But increasingly so over the last 5-10 years. But we have the recipes, and we still have teenagers who are capable of working, and we have Americans who are capable of working. So I don't see this dearth of food if all the people who are here illegally disappear.
Would you want to deport Cuban immigrants
if they're here illegally? But most of them are sort of come from refugees from the 60s that were kind of welcome.
But would it be better to remove even legal immigrants who are recent arrivals? which is what a lot of MAGA wants, right?
There's a lot of people who should be denaturalized, like Hassan Piker and Zohran Mamdani. If you espouse a radical anti-American ideology, like that's you can't be entered into this country. And if you lied about that, and you lied about your associations with those kinds of groups, that's grounds for denaturalization and deportation. That's already on the books, and that's totally fair.
What? Mamdani should be deported because he didn't report that he was a member of the DSA?
Yeah, and other groups and other things.
DSA is what is DSA? It's an American organization. It's a fully legal, always has been, completely American organization. I mean, it's only Americans. I used to be a member of it. I think they're idiots now, but what's problematic and to that extent about DSA that you should be deported for having been a member of it? They're a fully legal, recognized organization since the 1970s. Bernie Sanders was one of the founders of it. I mean, Bernie Sanders was one of the founders of DSA. AOC, like multiple members of Congress have been members of DSA.
So this is,
what do you mean?
It's not about the DSA necessarily. It's about his past career as a rapper. I'm looking up the Hindustan Times right now. Representative Andy Ogle, his case was his career as a rapper. He used the phrase "Free the Holy Land." 5 my guys, alluding to the Holy Land Foundation, Texas-based charity convicted in 2008 for funneling money to Hamas.
Yeah, right. They were. So, and you believe that, Michael?
Yeah.
You believe
that's
you? Wait, the Holy Land 5, the Holy Land Foundation case, Palestinians in the United States who had a foundation that was called and humanitarian organization. Yeah, they were convicted, true, in an American court of sending aid to Hamas. Right, that's right. You believe it?
They were convicted in
court. You gotta
be
kidding me.
They were convicted in court.
Be kidding me.
Supporting an organization that funds Hamas. That's grounds for denaturalization. And okay,
no. No, so rapping about the Holy Land 5, who he believes were not funneling money to Hamas. That's what he has said. And I see no reason to think that they funneled money to Hamas because I know of many, many such organizations and individuals who have been accused by the U.S. government of doing just that, who are not involved at all. Often, in fact, they're like PFLP Palestinians, like Marxist Palestinians, who are anti-Islamic.
A Marxist organization. It was a Marxist organization. My bad.
Exactly. Right. They're from the PFLP. They're actually hostile to Hamas. They always have been. They come out of the original PFLPs even before the PLO. They're the original Marxist Palestinian resistance movement. I'm not saying anything good about them. I'm just saying they're completely different than Hamas. They're anti-Islamist, right? Because they're Marxists. So no, I mean, right there. I mean, the government's cases on these things are so ridiculous and flimsy. You can throw them away like just by that. It's so simple.
But
I'm just such a clumsy. Anyway.
All right. Okay. I'm just talking about things that are on the books that are, you can argue with the case. You can argue, but the case was decided. But in general,
there's a lot of things on the books that are false myths, state propaganda, right? You know that, right? There's lots of things on the books that you know to be complete lies.
I'm trying to be a moderate centrist here. I'm trying to be
all right. Just trying to be what's going on. Just trying to take the temperature here.
Trying to yeah.
All right.
But there's no reason for Zohran to even be eligible to run for office in this country.
What?
It's
what? Why?
he's a dual citizen to begin with. He's a citizen of Uganda as well. You know, you want somebody who's American, loyal to the United States, only loyal to the United States.
He's an official citizen of Uganda?
Yeah, he's a dual citizen with Uganda
Currently?
still. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm pretty sure.
That's by Ugandan law. He has no choice, right? Because he was born there.
He could renounce his citizenship. He could renounce his citizenship and be only legal to the United States if he loyal to the United States if he wanted to.
Do we get to do that to all the Israeli Americans too?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Randy Fine of all people introduced a law to bar dual citizens from serving in Congress.
No, good for him.
Yeah,
it's coming for you, Randy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, sometimes I don't know if you're taking the piss or
no,
you're like really. Seems real. This seems real.
Yeah.
You seem like a legit nativist. You remember that? You know that word? We need to bring that word back.
Yeah. No, it's just it's pretty common sense, like basic foundations of citizenship, civics. It's like basic civics 101 of what a citizen is, what the polity should be, who the government should be constructed of, who it should serve.
Yeah. Bill the Butcher is the citizen.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Bill the Butcher.
Yes.
New York Gangs of New York. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The hero of that movie. By the way, everybody watches that movie and roots for him.
He led the nativist gang. Yes.
Yeah.
That's your boy. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, Lincoln was trying to bring in as many Irishmen as possible to fight his dirty war in the South.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you're talking about my people. All right. Well, Jesus, I got a full blown MAGA here, boys.
Mm-hmm.
What am I going to do with you, son?
Yeah.
I've lost you to the red, white, and blue brigade.
Mm-hmm.
The red, white, and blue trucker hat brigade.
Interesting you say that. Another thing is,
yes,
with the Republican losses last night, it's especially in New York City, it appears that being Republican is still seen as low status. And I think that's a big driving force, especially in New York City, for why the Republican Party has no chance there. It's funny that they talk about class consciousness and all this, but they have the dual standard of, where I live, the only person I ever saw wearing a MAGA hat during Trump's first term was the janitor. So just
I'm sure there's been studies done on this. Is it even true? I think the average income of Trump voters is higher than for Democratic voters.
Probably the middle class constituency. Yeah. But
well, also Democrats have most of the blacks.
I think the super rich and the super poor vote for Democrats, and the middle class, what remains of it, and who believes in the middle class, vote for Republicans.
It's a lot of small business owners in MAGA. Mm-hmm. I mean, seems to be like Marjorie Taylor Greene types.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But if you go to a college, if you go to any institution of power, if you want to be socially mobile upwards, the corporate structure is all pro-Democrat. So.
Oh yeah.
The halls of Hollywood and cultural influence are all pro-Democrat.
Yeah. So the Democrats had not huge. They had a good night last night. They won every election that was important, which was like 4 of them. Virginia, New York City, New Jersey, and then Prop 50 here, which I paid attention to only a little bit at the end, but as I understand it, it's just Democrat gerrymandering to ensure hegemony in California for Democrats in perpetuity, which is what both parties have done in every state forever. It's just what political parties do. It is corrupt and dirty and unprincipled and undemocratic and all that, and Democrats and Republicans, as far as I know, have done it pretty much equally. And that's all this is. It's just, further entrenchment of the Democratic power in my home state.
Mm-hmm. On that note, this is a huge thing because Democrats kind of don't have much more left to gerrymander. Whereas if you look at the Midwest, my home state, if you look at Ohio, if you look at Kansas, if you look at much of middle America, there's a lot of seats to be gained if Republicans were to redistrict as aggressively as California is. And you've got a lot of soft, old conservatives not understanding the existential battle here that is at play, not completely on board with it. It's a slog in the House. It's a slog in the Midwest, in Indiana, in Ohio to get this done. And Democrats just snap and work as fast as they possibly can to get whatever seats they can. There was a redistricting effort in Virginia that went along pretty quickly. So just a thing of what time it is. If you look at the districts in Illinois, like you get one sliver of Chicago and then as much land as possible for a ton of districts. They have the ugliest districts you can imagine. If you look at New England, there isn't a single Republican representative in all of New England. So Republicans need to wake up on this one.
Parties are going to party. No, Republicans they've known all, and they've done their own gerrymandering, in red states. No, the question to me, this is what, smart people have been talking about in the last few days is, what does this mean about what the Democratic Party is going to do with itself? Now that they have a little bit of momentum, have a couple of victories, Trump is very much on the ropes. His approval ratings, I think, are at an all-time low, I think.
For this administration, yeah. They really tanked in the last week or two.
Yeah. Anyway, but the Democratic Party is, what is it, right? It is absolutely incoherent right now. So is the Republican Party. Well, I'd say the Republican Party is actually slightly more coherent in that it's a clear binary or a division between two factions, each of which is pretty clearly defined. The establishment Republicans and then the MAGA. We know who those are, and that's all the Republicans are. It's just those two. Democrats now have multiple factions that are radically at odds with each other. You have the old establishment Dems, the Chuck Schumers, the Nancy Pelosi's. You have the Bernie insurgency, which has sort of been diffused through the party, and Mamdani is the latest example of it. But then overlapping with, to some extent, Bernie is what I would call kind of, it's the squad who are also identitarians and into woke politics, which Bernie is not. Bernie does it reluctantly. And Bernie's base is like Marxist types, socialist types, who are not into identity politics, the Chapo Trap Houses of the world, which, by the way, Chapo Trap House, that represents probably 1 million people who vote, something like that. I wouldn't be surprised. So it's a significant thing. And that is like the Bernie base, and that's who they are. They hate identity politics, but they're total socialists. And then you got the identity politics crew, which often overlaps with the Bernie wing, but they have sort of a different agenda in certain ways, different inflections, different rhetoric. They tend to be dumb. They tend to be from big cities. They tend to not, But anyway, so we don't know. And then on Palestine, of course, that's with the Republicans. It's another absolute wedge right now within the party. And, it's looking more and more. There's now Seth Moulton. Is he a senator? He's a senator, right? He's now basically anti-Israel. Big movement there. There's like 2 other big Democrats who basically are now anti-Israel. So you see it more and more. Looks like, and of course they know what the polls are showing, that every single Democrat under the age of 40 is an anti-Zionist now. So the Dems, I don't see how they can't go anti-Israel within a couple election cycles. I would think that a majority of elected Democrats by 2030 are going to be anti-Israel. It seems inevitable, right? So we'll see about that, though. I mean, they're not going to go down without a fight. I mean, the old Democratic establishment is just as committed to Israel as the Republicans are, and take even more money from AIPAC, right? AIPAC gives even more money to Dems, so they're not going to go down without a fight. Also, by the way, look for false flag anti-Semitic attacks in New York City. There's almost no doubt there's going to be a lot of swastikas painted on places.
Already happened. Yeah.
Did it? Yeah.
Yeah, and Zohran denounced it, and yeah, it was funny. But
what was it, a swastika?
Yeah, it was a swastika. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's always like some Jewish teenager too.
Yeah.
Who does it.
Yeah. And then there's like,
yeah.
Man, what's the book? There's Crying Wolf. That's the book about all these hate crime hoaxes that documented these and documented the ADL tracking them. Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. Oh, I know. That's a great documentary, by the way. So yeah, I mean, back to the Bernie wing, which is now ascendant, both obviously with Mamdani, you know, the Bernie wing plus, which is now, and then the Palestine wing, which Bernie is not a part of, by the way. Bernie is a Zionist, and he was critical of Israel about a year into the war, you know. But this new movement in the energy in the Democratic Party right now is definitely socialist and anti-Zionist. I mean, kind of amazing, but that's true. I mean, that is where the juice is right now. I don't think New York City is the only city that we're going to see this kind of thing. I think there's going to be major, I'm sure there's going to be other Mamdanis in other cities, although he's extraordinarily talented as a retail politician. So it'll be hard to find someone that good, but I'm sure there's going to be many, many people. In fact, I'll bet you that in every major city in America, like the top 20 cities in this country, there will be a Mamdani-like candidate with the same politics running for office for mayor. I'm sure of it. And Congress probably. So it's going to be, it may not last long, but there will be a wave for sure of this kind of politics. So that's where the Dems, I think, are going. I mean, the anti-Zionist part seems baked in. I don't see how they can avoid that. Whether they go full socialist the way Mamdani is, or most largely, I would call it a heavy social democrat, kind of Scandinavian socialism, that remains to be seen. And that's where the fight is going to be mostly. You know, it's about his free grocery stores and his free buses and the tax rate and all that.
Well, if the rich, he did focus on affordability. He was the superior candidate to Cuomo easily. Right. He cared
about rent freezes. That's the big one. Rent freezes, which is rent control, which is just the dumbest public policy ever.
The thing is, though, if he does scare all the rich people from leaving, if all the rich people leave New York City, that's going to bring housing costs way, way down. So he might actually bring affordability on some metrics to the remaining people of New York City, and he might call that a victory.
I heard that, I don't know anything about this, but I just heard today, I think that JP Morgan already has like most of its headquarters in Dallas.
And it's been happening
and is like prepared, like could pivot entirely to Dallas, which is crazy. JP Morgan, right? There's no more New York an institution than JP Morgan, right? So we'll see. Yeah, I mean although that may not be because of Mamdani, but just because of everything else that's going on in the economy, and because of sort of New York's historic terrible tax structure.
Yeah,
but Mamdani will accelerate it, I suppose. But yeah, we'll see. I'm just looking forward to this experiment. We haven't had like a good old communist municipal experiment in my lifetime. There used to be in the 10s and 20s and 30s and even 40s. I think there were multiple cities that did stuff like this.
I see no upside to this. I see no upside to this.
There were multiple mayors of cities in the 20th century who were members of the Socialist Party of America. And they did a lot of stuff like this. And I don't even know the history of some of those projects, but it's not. This is not the first time. And by the way, those were all WASPs. Those were all complete, native-born white Anglo-Saxon Protestant Americans who did that. The socialists of the early 20th century. We'll see. I think it's going to be fun to watch.
Zohran called his platform Scandinavian but brown, and we'll see if that's
You said it's brown.
It's like Scandinavian but brown. So
don't love the racialism there. Does that mean I can't take the bus?
I don't think the free buses are with your safety in mind. I think
are they brown only? Is the question. Are we doing reverse apartheid?
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, he does. I've heard him use some. I said racialist. I mean, it's basically racist rhetoric in the past. The thing about what was it? White neighborhoods. Something about white neighborhoods.
Taxing white neighborhoods. Yeah.
Yeah. Something. It was like, excuse me.
Yeah.
I definitely don't like that. Rent control, as I said, is the dumbest policy ever. We know this. Every economist knows this. It increases rent. It increases rent because it suppresses supply. Obviously, there's less incentive to build new housing if you can make less money on it. And so developers build less housing, which increases the prices, right? Oh my gosh. It's great if you're in a rent control apartment. And by the way, I didn't know this. I lived in New York for 17 years. I never knew this. Did I hear this right? 60%? Is it 40%? I think it's 60% of all rentals. I never got this. But 60% of all rentals in New York City are either stabilized or controlled, the rent. So a huge percentage do, but everybody else has higher housing costs, and it also just makes housing overall in the city more expensive, which means that people can't move into the city either. We know this. I mean, we've known this. San Francisco does the same thing, but they do all this stuff. I mean, of course, all the radical restrictions on development too. It just it suppresses building growth, more housing. It's incredible that any lefty thinks that's good for the people. It's incredibly elitist, actually. Anyway, that's Zohran. We'll see. I just oddly, but geopolitically, of course, I think it's awesome. I think it's fantastic. I think it's as big as anything that's happened in the last 2 years, actually. Even though, of course, he has nothing to do with foreign policy. It's what it represents is everything.
A quote from his victory speech. I might paraphrase this wrong, but he said, "We will show that there is no problem too big for government to fix, and no concern too small for government to address." To me, that's the totalitarian impulse there. That's probably the most clear articulation of the totalitarian impulse.
It also sounds like Franklin Roosevelt. It also sounds like the old progressives, the original progressives. But and Joe Stalin, all of them. No, it's horrible. No, it's just. But the thing is, I want to go back to having those arguments. That used to be what everybody argued about all the time, right? With socialism versus capitalism. And then it just became about all these other things that ended up being ridiculous fantasies like drag queens and racists everywhere and whatever. But now we're finally getting back to the important stuff, foreign policy and the political economy. Like those are the two biggest things. Those should be what occupy 90% of our political discussion is those two topics. It's finally, we're back. Those are the two things we're now talking about again. Thank God. I was going to say there is another wing of the Democratic Party that might be something. What are they called? The Abundance Democrats, right? Which is really just a book and two guys and maybe a few podcasts. I don't know if it's actually a movement, but it's something going on. I guess it has some adherence within the Democrats, and I think it's a great set of ideas. But so we'll see.
Oh, that looks like an effort to win back Silicon Valley and win back large funding for national politics on the Democratic stage. I think the more that the Zohrans and that wing get amplified at the Democratic Party, the worse they do nationally for national elections. And I think the abundance mindset is for telling the whole world, hey, we're still pro capital, we're still pro you being able to do business, we're still pro innovation, we're still pro technology, which is something that they've ceded a lot of ground on.
Yeah, so this is Ezra Klein and Derek Thompson of a book that came out, I think, last year called Abundance, I think, calling for a new Democratic Party approach to economics. And it's basically, as I haven't read it, but as I understand it, I've listened to them a few times. It's sort of, adoption of some market economics or like semi-libertarian reforms, reducing regulations, I think, is a big one for them, like regulations on housing that stop developers from building housing.
Yeah.
Excellent ideas. I know I want every regulation banished tomorrow. There's no regulation I'm in favor of in the economy. No, there's no economic regulation I can think of that I've ever would support. But yeah, so the more the better that we cut. We'll see. Right now, they've been dismissed and laughed out of the party, basically, as far as I can tell,
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem to be any chance soon of it catching on in the party and changing the minds of them on economics. But it is something going on. There's something in there. There is something in the Democrats, that's truly dissident and interesting and has, I think, some value in the future. I think would move the party in a better direction, at least from my perspective. But it would also be a radical break. The Democratic Party has never been the party of markets and has never been the party of deregulation ever. When they started as the segregationist, party in the 19th century, they were all about regulation, obviously. And then when they sort of became the home of progressives in the 20th century, of course, they invented the very idea of modern economic regulation. So it's unlikely, especially now that they're taken over, now that they're controlled by socialists.
The thing to watch for would probably be Graham Plattner and Kat. I can't pronounce her last name, but Kat in Illinois. Although it looks like she's probably going to be prosecuted for obstructing ICE. And Zohran should probably be prosecuted if he obstructs ICE in any way.
Damn.
But keep your eye on Plattner if he can win Maine and if he can kick out an establishment Democrat and an establishment Republican that's been pretty cozy there. The Jay Jones for the Attorney General in Virginia, he was polling horribly after the leaked text message scandal, where he talked about several times and doubling down on it every time with pushback that he wanted his political opponents' children to die, and that by his words, this is the only way for these people to learn, is that if it affects them personally, that, your children should die. Bad things should happen to you, so you should understand that bad things happen to other people. That tanked his polling, but Democrats still voted for him down ticket. So it's important to know that moralizing to Democrats isn't going to work. That telling them that there's like some sort of decency out there that should be adhered to, it just doesn't work with Democrats. They have total cultural carte blanche to do whatever they want. And for Republicans, policing group chats like the Politico scandal, maybe it's best not to succumb to that, not to play by those standards anymore, and not to do the infighting and tone policing for the radicals on your side. Hassan Piker, after Charlie Kirk was killed, was given an op-ed in the New York Times, and he was given an interview with Ross Douthat. And it seems like the radicals on the left turn out to vote for Democrats, still support Democrats, are part of the Democrat machine. And the radicals on the right, a la Fuentes, serve only to discredit the Republicans and to turn the voters away from voting Republican. So
that's an important point.
Yeah.
And it's completely correct. I hadn't thought of that. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. I mean, when I was a socialist, when I was on the left, I was in a small minority who didn't vote for Democrats. I didn't vote at all, but they all voted for Democrats, pretty much. I would say, I mean, certainly the majority voted Democrats, and then like a minority would vote for like whatever radical Green Party or DSA candidate was on the ballot. But yeah, it was incredible. I was like, wait. And because I would hear from them that the Democrats are a bourgeois party that serves capitalist interests. And also that they, you know, were responsible for all the wars of the 20th century. And then they'd go and trot off to vote for them every 4 years, every 2 years. And I was so baffled by that. I still am. I mean, I had friends who were anarchists, who were Antifa, who were kind of the founders of the Northwest Antifa in Seattle and Portland. They would vote for Bill Clinton and Barack Obama and Joe Biden. I'm like, who? And Hillary Clinton? What? But you're right. Not
almost as if they, yeah.
What?
Almost as if they serve the purpose of the establishment. They're the foot soldiers.
Well, I used to say, scratch a communist, you'll find a liberal, like, or a Democrat, you know. But yeah, they're basically liberals. There isn't. I mean, a lot of people on the left say this. There isn't a real left in the United States. I mean, there's just the kind of real, like, yeah, right. The real revolutionary left of Europe. We really don't have that. We've had teeny little splinter groups that have been like that, but they've been so tiny, they've been insignificant. No, like the communist parties of Italy and Germany in the 1920s, you know, that kind of shit, 1910s and 1920s, 1930s. No, they're all liberals. They're all basically New Deal liberals. They talk a good game, but when it comes down to it, they're just Democrats. It's pathetic. But yeah, so the dissident right, though. And by the way, the Tucker Carlson Nick Fuentes interview now has 5 million views on YouTube alone. I don't know what other platforms it's on. Tucker's own website, I guess. And
Rumble, X. He was exclusive on X for a little bit, but yeah, and Spotify. He's, you know, yeah.
So it might be close to 10 million total. It's certainly well over 5 million. We know that. That's huge. That's a lot of people. Now, not everybody who watched it is a supporter of either Nick Fuentes or Tucker Carlson, but I'm sure a lot are. I'm sure most of the people who watched that video are supporters of one or the other or both. So it's a big thing. Nick Fuentes, he really is a fascist, which is cool. I appreciate that, like an old school Catholic Italian fascist type. But yeah, it's good to have those conversations. I mean this, like we never talk about fascism in a real way, and he's very smart, very talented, and very open to discussing big ideas and open to, you know, responding to critics. And so I look forward to seeing him grow up. Honestly, I think if he keeps doing what he's doing and keeps kind of being less didactic and more conversational in the way which he is, he's great about that.
He's good. He's good with other people. He's great. He's good with, there's another person in the room. He's very respectful when he's with another person.
But he's even open. He's open to talking about the ideas. He doesn't just like spew talking points. He's not like dug in on his arguments. I mean, anyway, that's why I look forward to seeing him evolve. I hate saying this, but evolve. Whatever. Well, I look forward to see what he does with his ideas in the next 5 to 10 to 20 years. I do. I think he's very interesting. I mean, he's an outright fascist. Like he's calling for, you know, imprisoning probably 20, 30 million people is what he's, you know, which is every immigrant, every illegal immigrant.
No. That's not. You don't imprison
Yes.
them. You deport them.
Deport. Whatever. You imprison them first. Whatever. Arrest. Whatever. 10 to 20 million people there, and then everybody who supports them, everybody who opposes ICE.
Well, if you obstruct,
goes to prison too.
That's on the books. If you obstruct, like when I've seen all these videos circulating about like, oh, ICE just arrested a U.S. citizen, or ICE just like brutalized a U.S. citizen, I like see the whole context, and it's like, this is a federal arrest taking place, and there are people ramming their cars into them. There are people putting their physical bodies in place in between an arrest. Name any other instance where there's a federal law enforcement action taking place, and you obstruct that, and you go away free.
He's calling for imprisoning every Democratic mayor and governor in the country.
Definitely Pritzker.
That's again.
I wouldn't.
I'm cool. It's cool. Like,
there's plenty of crimes, and hey,
state-on-state violence doesn't bother me. Like, I don't mind anybody in the state getting imprisoned for anything, basically. But I like that he's talking about this and bringing it up and stating it boldly and forthrightly and not beating around the bush. You know, but it is certainly fascistic in multiple ways. I can tell you. I mean, it's got clear resonance with, especially Italian fascism. So, but German too. I mean, that's the first thing they did. They cleaned out. That's the very first. Before the Jews, they went after all the communists and the socialists and even a lot of the liberals, all the opponents of the Nazi regime, and just wiped them out. Like, removed them from office, removed them from their professions, and in many cases put them into exile, and in other cases put them into prison, concentration camps. The first concentration camps were for communists and socialists, not for Jews.
Well, they stole that idea from Lenin.
Whatever. I'm just saying it's a classic. That is how fascism began in Germany. That's the first things they did, is what Nick Fuentes is calling for. And the Italian fascists attempted the same. They did, and they were very successful. Again, fascism started in both countries as an anti-communist movement, a militant anti-communist movement. That's what Nick Fuentes is. That's, you know, using state power and violence and vigilante force to remove completely from society all radicals, basically, you know, who are considered to be enemies of the state, which they were. I'm just stating facts. I'm not taking a position, but that's what Nick Fuentes is calling for. And I'm here for it, because let's have the discussion. We get to talk about fascism for real, finally.
Okay. I think there are plenty of laws on the books that many Democrat elected officials in power have violated, and the seal of prosecuting your political opponents has already been broken with how Trump and his ilk were prosecuted under the communist Biden regime. But beyond that, Nick Fuentes and the Tucker interview,
authoritarian but not communist. Authoritarian for sure.
A system is what it does. I think.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
So the problem with Fuentes is he has no political instincts. Is that he's constantly infighting with anybody who has a national. This is what Tucker was railing him on. Is that anytime somebody of national prominence who advocates anything that could be aligned with you rises to power, you get into infighting with them, and it crashes and burns completely. And beyond that, he's led his flock to following some of the worst political things to be pursued. And I've fallen for this myself without following it from him. But
like what?
So supporting Andrew Yang in 2020, he was the Yang gang. Us Nazis, we need to get behind UBI, because the only thing we could ever hope for is that we get a paycheck in the mail. Like, we're cooked anyway, so let's just get a paycheck. Horrible defeatism.
Why did Fuentes? I didn't know this. Why did he support Andrew Yang?
Because he represents he represents the NEETs, the not educated, employed or in training, and he represents young men who are not educated, employed or in training. And what's the best thing for them politically? Get a free paycheck every month just for living. Gotcha. So Fuentes fell for that, and it was horrible waste of political capital. Kanye West in 2020. I'm sorry. Hey, I supported him because he was the only guy who was asked a serious question about foreign policy. Joe Rogan.
Sorry, this was the Kanye West show for a year because of you. You had him on every show, no matter what was happening in the world.
But he endorsed Trump, and so I put all my support behind Trump. In 2024, he fully endorsed Trump, so I'm totally on the Trump train. And but it was
Kanye's simply not bright, and he has nothing interesting to say. And that's why Nick Fuentes should have nothing to do with him.
Okay.
It's completely obvious.
He was talking about bringing prayer back in schools. I'm all for that. And he was the only candidate in 2020 who was asked a serious question on foreign policy. Foreign policy was not talked about in any of the debates at all.
Who was the only candidate?
Kanye West. He went on Joe Rogan.
Oh, Joe Rogan, a candidate.
Yeah. Joe Rogan asked him, what would you do if China invaded Taiwan? He was the only presidential candidate asked, what would you do if China invaded Taiwan? And he was the only one who gave an answer. So in my eyes, at that time, I thought, hey, he's the only serious candidate. But that was a period of nihilism that I've gladly grown out of.
Okay.
And he fell for Kamala is brat. He was amplifying all the Kamala memes. He thought that was cool. And there's a lot of stuff from 2024. He didn't vote for Kamala, but he abstained from voting in 2024.
He has said a lot of stupid things, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
about Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that he's never actually put any political capital into anything that had any hope of winning. He's never seriously.
What do you mean?
He is winning. Capital.
He is winning.
He's winning the hearts and minds of the youth. I'm a little.
More do you need?
It's
more do you need?
Largely AstroTurf, but here's the thing: he could destroy the entire. He could destroy the entire Republican ticket, and he's very dangerous to the right in a lot of ways.
That's true.
And the big question, and what wasn't spoken about in the interview, was J.D. Vance, and for a number of reasons, mainly being what I hear scare tactics about Palantir and the surveillance state and Peter Thiel. Fuentes is a never Vance guy. And it's interesting because all the Zionists who are freaking out about the Tucker Carlson interview are saying, oh, Tucker is friends with Vance and Tucker has Fuentes on. So Vance, by extension, is a Nazi like Fuentes. So that's the game being played here. So, if he keeps doubling down on never Vance, there's a lot of young men and there's a large politically active populace who will not vote for Vance and could give up the election in 2028. And if he fully supports Vance, he could make Vance look like a Nazi if he's too vocal. So he's a huge liability from all angles for the Republican Party.
I think what Nick Fuentes would say to you is, what do you care about? The Republican Party or America?
I care about America, but I do see the Republican Party as the only political vehicle to get his political interests through, America First political interests through. And another thing about the elections last night, people are calling this a repudiation of Trump, but this is actually following a trend where Trump isn't on the ballot and Republicans do worse. Republicans are getting a huge Trump boost every time Trump is on the ballot. And it seems that MAGA, America First policies are way more popular than squishy establishment Republican politics, and that the Republican brand still hasn't been built up, and the vitalizing, energizing force of Trump still has some power.
Yeah, he's a TV star. He's always going to get attention and votes, and people love TV in America. Again, that is still remains the most underestimated cause of Trump's ascendancy. He was simply on TV a lot. And that, I mean, honestly, it's just he has that kind of celebrity power that unfortunately a lot of Americans will make major decisions in their lives around. I mean, we know this. I mean, sorry, but it's true. I'm speaking like an elitist, but it's just true. It doesn't matter what his politics are, really, too much for those people. Anyway, yeah, I bet you're right. Whatever, it's still true. Yeah, I know the Trump effect is still there, even though he is declining rapidly. I think in every way in popularity. He's losing chunks of his party, of his base. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene is still, she hasn't said anything critical of Trump, but she's kind of moving away.
She's looking to run for president in 2028 to the right of Vance. That's what she's positioning herself to do, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, but the right means certainly on Israel, right? A new thing. But also, what's the other issue she's differing from Trump on?
Maybe Epstein. Maybe she still cares about Epstein in a way that Trump doesn't.
Epstein. Yes, Epstein is another one with them. I feel like there was yet another one, another serious policy question. But anyway, Israel itself is huge because, again, it's not just about Israel. It's about American foreign policy in general and the idea of America first. So, yeah.
Did you see how Vance answered questions at the TPUSA event, largely from a young audience taking talking points from Fuentes?
They're pissed, man. Man, those kids, conservative kids now, are pissed about Israel. They're almost as pissed off as left-wing kids about Israel. It's close. They're angry. They're so angry that these little 19-year-olds get up in an auditorium full of people and shout at the vice president about it and demand answers from the vice president. And do so fairly articulately too. I will say.
Yeah.
Just the anger, and there were many of them. It was just nothing. I heard that it was 80% Israel questions.
Well, there was one specific Israel question, maybe two.
Or maybe I'm thinking of Glenn Beck when he was at TPUSA. I heard that it was almost all Israel questions, and he got completely flustered and just a fury. And you can now see why Charlie Kirk was moving so fast away from Israel, because his entire organization was running away from Israel. The base of it, the membership, not the donors, but the kids. And I didn't realize how deep it went, how fierce it was. They really are pissed off about this, and it's awesome.
It looks like Vance is capable of separating the America from pro-Israel politics even further than Trump has, and competently answering these questions in a somewhat moderate way that doesn't get people too upset.
We're all waiting to see what JD does on this question, right? He started out, I think, more of an Israel skeptic, never an opponent of Israel, but I believe more skeptical. I think he said a couple things are more skeptical. And then, of course, he's had to toe the line for the first 2 years of Trump. And now I wouldn't say he moderated his position, but he did rhetorically sort of soften a bit in this TPUSA thing. But we don't know. We don't know I think he could go either way is my point. I think, right? Don't you think Vance could?
I think he's given the most radical anti-Israel answer for somebody as highly elected as he is, he's really given.
For someone in the Trump administration.
Sure. Yeah. And
because they don't say anything critical.
Yeah, he said he bought into the premise of the question that, at least for the context of answering that person's specific question, he bought into the context that perhaps American politicians and presidents of the past, I think he just did this rhetorically to play in his frame and win over that person. But, he said, you can argue that presidents of the past were bought for by Israel, but if you look at Trump being independent in his decision-making, you see that he's definitely not bought by Israel, and that he's not controlled by Israel. He's not controlled by Israel. And also,
but you could surmise that from it. It's not exactly how he said it, but yeah.
He at his most recent trip to the Holy Land, he visited the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and he did not kiss the wall. And he brought that up he didn't bring up not kissing the wall, but he said, I care about the Church of the Holy Sepulchre,
All right.
and I care about
right,
Christian
JD.
interests in this region, which sounds like Palestinian interests if you're listening.
Keep going.
Yeah, so he's carving out American nationalist opposition to Israel in a way that also,
Oh, you really think so?
yeah, through Christianity, that
Okay.
the interests
Yeah.
of the American people first and foremost should be with the preservation of holy sites,
Yeah.
which
This is
I think
the-
anybody
this would be
in
the-
yeah,
This is the Tucker Carlson position, basically,
yes,
right?
pretty much, yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
That's how Tucker comes to his anti-Zionism,
Mhm.
right? Or whatever he is. Yeah. I mean, I hope so. Godspeed,
Mhm.
if that's what he's up to, And I think it's highly possible.
Mhm.
Like I do think Vance could go either way on this.
Mhm.
I think it's probably more likely he'll go anti-Israel because he knows he can't win
Mhm.
in
Yeah.
28. What is it going to be? Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, you can't win in 28 now in American politics and be pro-Israel. I don't think. I think that's now written in stone. You
Mhm.
can't because now that's 3 years from now. I mean, how many? That means all the Zoomers are going to be fully voting by then.
18-year-olds
And
will have been born in 2010.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's going to be that many more young people, and young people are all anti-Zionist now.
Mhm.
So, I mean, effectively anti-Zionist. So, yeah, it's in the culture. I mean, you hear kids who don't know anything about politics say things about Israel, like as an epithet. You can tell it's now become part of normie consciousness as sort of like a bad thing, bad place. It's really wild. It's that deep now in the culture. Which means they're toast. They're absolute toast. Long term. All right, we should go.
Yeah. Just to wrap up,
audience.
just to the filibuster. Just to this is what Trump took from last night.
Make it interesting. Make the filibuster interesting.
End the
We didn't talk about
filibuster.
Venezuela.
Yeah. Oh,
Sorry.
he's saying yeah. End the filibuster. 50 and get forth a comprehensive legislative agenda as fast as possible before the 2026 midterms, focused on the objectives I put out in the beginning, as much election security as possible. I do think there's quite a bit of illegal immigrants voting and quite a bit of fraud still happening in these Democrat-controlled areas. Virginia and New Jersey and New York don't have voter ID. So if you can get a voter ID national law through with a simple majority through the nuclear option, deport as many people as possible, English ballots, just common sense election integrity stuff, the 2026 midterms have a better chance. And that's like the existential hope for the Republican Party is getting a legislative agenda through, because they haven't really. It's been all executive orders. So
the national language of America is Ebonics, okay? And I want it changed. I want all the signs, all the ballots, the SAT test, everything changed to Ebonics, okay?
Stop signs turn into hole up signs.
That's it. Yes, you understand.
Uh-huh.
That's what this country's about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. The filibuster is boring. I can't deal. Fuck.
Okay. Well, it's more about the establishment Republicans are largely still in control of the Senate. Trump doesn't really have a MAGA majority to get a legislative agenda through. And if Democrats win in 2026, he's going to get impeached. The whole project is over and we're back to square one. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. A pox in all their houses. Yeah, it is. I don't like anybody right now at all. I'm quite cross with Donald Trump. We didn't talk about Venezuela, but I just think it's fucking grotesque.
We did a little bit.
I mean, we have. In the past,
yeah.
Not
we
tonight,
did a little bit at the beginning, but
did we?
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's grotesque, and it's I have no sympathy whatsoever left for him. I am no longer ever going to defend him at all. It's the deportations, Venezuela, Gaza, of course. But this, I don't know, there's something just, again, just so fucking disgustingly cruel and stupid, and I can't stand it. Killing people like that with zero justification, zero cause, zero evidence, nothing, zero. And in fact, mostly counter evidence. It's most likely those boats didn't have drugs and weren't going to Miami because it's too far away from Venezuela for those boats to get that far. They were probably going to Trinidad. And they were mostly fishing boats, probably, because you could see inside the boats. They didn't have any cargo in them. What are you talking about? And they've killed 60 people now. 60, blown them out of the water. And it produced not a shred of fucking evidence. Why couldn't they just show us something that proves that these guys were drug runners? But it doesn't matter, because we know, as I said last week, we all know it's not about the drugs. It's obvious. It's about good old Uncle Sam imperialism in Latin America that's been going on for more than 100 years in Venezuela to control the oil, basically, and to keep Latin Americans from controlling that oil. There's a pan-Latin movement that's been going on for 20 years now, 30 years, to basically regionalize, not nationalize, but regionalize the oil and nationalize it both, and keep it out of the control of the US. And that's what it's about. And China, also China moving in there and keeping China out of there. It's all geopolitical imperialism. And that's why those people are dead. It's unbelievable. So anyway, you were going to say?
Just real quick question. Sudan, there's a civil war going on. What side is the CIA and what side is the other side? What is the other side?
Yeah, I did a lot of prep for that, actually. We got to talk. I'm sure it'll still be. Let's make sure to talk about it next week. Yeah.
Okay.
It's I mean, basically, the U.S. is on the more or less on the side of the government forces, and the RSF is financed mostly by the UAE and somewhat by Russia. Was originally funded by Russia, but mostly the UAE is giving them weapons and money. In exchange for smuggling gold to the UAE from Sudan. Sudan has been looted of all of its gold by the UAE over the last 10, 20 years since the price of gold went up. They have this whole network of illegal underground smugglers working with the UAE government. You can go, anybody can do it right now. You can go to Sudan. If you can get into Sudan, find a gold producer. You can fill a suitcase with it and fly to Dubai and get in and sell it immediately without any customs won't even stop you. So, or Abu Dhabi, sorry. Yeah, it's horrific. But anyway, so it's a proxy war with multiple players. The US has been destabilizing Sudan in multiple ways for 20 to 30 years. And lately, in large part, to keep Russia out, because Russia has a deal with Sudan to establish a military base there, which is right across from Saudi Arabia, which is on the Red Sea, right underneath Israel, right? That was 2 years ago. They made the deal. They haven't been able to build the base yet because of all the war that's been going on. But that's one of the reasons the US is up to its eyebrows in Sudan. And to keep China out. So I'm sure that I don't know if any Trump people have said this about Sudan, but I'm sure this is why. The China's Belt and Road Initiative, the whole plan, they've already built, I think, like 5 of the major dams China has in Sudan. So it's already like a central hub of the Belt and Road Network Initiative of China, right? All the roads, freeways, airports, ports, etc., dams, hydroelectric systems, all that stuff being built all the way from Beijing, from the Pacific in China, all the way through Asia and into Africa and even into Europe. It's China's economic imperialism. I'm not scared of it. It's simply economic development projects, but whatever, that's what it is. So to keep China out, or to kick them out of East Africa, is what's going on here. It's the US attempting to do that, to kick them out. UAE's position in this is odd because they're an ally with Israel and with the US, and the RSF comes straight out of the Janjaweed insane Islamist murderers of the Darfur massacre. And that's who Israel and UAE is supporting and has been supporting. Yeah, Israel's been supporting the RSF, by the way, almost for sure. And if not, their ally is the UAE. So, I mean, there's no doubt they are in some way or another. It's basically, I think what all of the proxy powers are doing is trying to see who's going to win. They're just jockeying. I don't think any of them are like in any way sort of committed partners. I don't think the US is a committed partner with the government, and I don't think Russia or the UAE is a committed partner with RSF. I think they're just like trying to figure out who's going to win. In fact, Russia, the Ministry of Defense disagrees with, I think, another faction, another wing of the Russian government. One of them wants to side with the RSF, and one of them wants to side with the government, or whatever. Yeah. So I mean, the power. It's not like there's a clear, because the two sides are not aligned with, you know, a formally long-standing alliance with some like long-standing enemy of the United States. So that's all. What they're benefiting from is the fucking genocide that's going on, the murder, the rape, the famine, the complete poverty of these people, because it's just a completely destabilized country in which, if you're a great power with a very powerful intelligence agency and lots of money, you can maybe establish a new government, a new friend in that country. So that's what's been going on. A deliberate attempt to destabilize by funding both sides, going back and forth between the sides. They have gold. Sudan has a lot of gold, less and less all the time, but a lot of gold and a significant amount of oil. 10% of China's oil comes from Sudan. It's on the Red Sea. 20%, I think, of all the world's goods go through the Red Sea on cargo ships. So controlling that lane is vital, you know, super strategic interest. So the United States has 100 reasons to be involved in this. And so it's not right now so much which side they're supporting, it's just that they're there, and they're going to be supporting whichever side they think is advantageous, and that could shift at any moment, literally, as to how the battles go. Right now, the RSF has taken Fasher, which was the last stronghold of the government army. So I don't know.
Losing audio from you, Thad.
But it's a bloody imperial mess,
and
that's all.
Now we've got a smoother audio from you.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me
because my AirPod just flaked.
I'm gonna say after the party is the after party.
Sorry, wait.
And I'm gonna throw it. I'm right here. We'll do it live.
Sorry, people, I can't hear.
And I can't go to ThaddeusRussell.substack.com.
We gotta go anyway.
ThaddeusRussell.substack.com
for the millions of people watching at home. I say goodnight. God bless and peace.
Wait. Shoot.
End the empire. Michael is telling me to wait.
I can't hear you.
Come to the after show. We're going to end the empire.
Okay, yes, we're good. We're good. Thank you. Unregisteredacademy.substack.com as well for the history of the left. We're going to leave. 3, 2, 1.